Like many, I was happy when Rockstar finally officially announced the remasters of the original trilogy of 3D GTA games, expecting a level of polish and refinement to truly bring those titles into the modern era. It's been over 8 years since the release of GTA 5 and fans have been starved for a new game in the series. While GTA Online has received updates, it's been communities of modders quenching that hunger fans have had for new content. And although GTA RP has been a blast to watch and partake in, modders were also responsible for revamping the older single-player titles of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. In retrospect, Rockstar's decision to shut down these communities and mod projects makes sense for them. They couldn't have fan-made mods be better than their own remasters that they were going to sell for the cost of a full-price new game. In essence, the modders are like Dune's House Atreides, while Rockstar Games is the Emperor. Jealous and in no way willing to look bad by comparison. And boy, does Rockstar's remaster ever look bad. But it plays even worse. Many of us assumed that the seemingly inevitable remasters of GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas would eventually be guaranteed hits. But the release of Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the definitive edition, has already been met with scorn and ridicule from franchise fans who are stunned by these remasters' many problems. Maybe it shouldn't be a surprise to see these remasters fall quite so hard on their face given some of the botched remasters and new releases we've seen in recent years, but it is truly astonishing to witness just how bad these games really are on a purely technical level. There is no excuse for how these remasters turned out, but I'm darkly eager to hear an explanation for one of the year's most disappointing releases. It would take us days to round up every problem with these remasters, but here are some of the worst bugs, glitches, and terrible design decisions that we've found so far. We previously talked about the Definitive Edition's art style and how it immediately divided fans. Well, it turns out that when it comes to character models, GTA Definitive Edition's new visuals aren't just different, they're really bad. There is no way to beat around the bush with this particular problem. Regardless of how you feel about certain decisions made for this remaster, or remasters in general, I can guarantee you that the character models in this game are not the result of a particular art style or art direction. These character models are the result of something that went terribly wrong. As much as I'd love to keep talking about this problem, I'm just going to let the evidence speak for itself.
Just drop in. We all hanging out.
Yeah, and get yourself some colors, fool. And a haircut. It's embarrassing to be seen with you.
It would take quite some time to list every little technical problem in GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, but we have to spare a little space to talk about these remasters' framerate issues. It's pretty hard to play these remasters for an extended period of time and not be bothered by the constant framerate drops. GTA 3 is the worst offender of the bunch in this category, but all of the games run horribly most of the time. If you're looking for a technical breakdown of how poorly these remasters perform, here's a video that does an excellent job of highlighting the extent of this issue. While the GTA remasters suffer from quite a few general performance problems, the Switch versions of these remasters are truly on another level. You would think that the Nintendo Switch would easily be able to run updated versions of games from the early to mid-2000s, but that is simply not the case. From texture tearing to slideshow quality frame rates, these might be some of the worst Switch ports I've ever seen, especially when you take into account the franchise we're talking about, the amount of money conceivably available to make these ports work, and the age of the original games themselves. Again, you really have to see how bad the Switch version of this release is to fully appreciate it. Thankfully, the good folks at Nintendo Life have suffered through this game, so you don't have to. In the original versions of these games, rain was a very simple environmental effect that usually just added a little atmosphere to the experience. In the Definitive Edition, rain is the true final boss. Let's get this out of the way. The graphics are a mixed bag. Aside from the obvious big issues such as character models looking off and the rain handicapping the player, it's clear Grove Street Games wanted to pay homage to the originals. For the most part, I'd say the games look cleaner, perhaps even too much so, to the point where Liberty City and San Andreas lose their dirtier aesthetic that added some life. But at the same time, one has to even ask, why even go through with this update to begin with? It's not a big enough enhancement to look modern. It's like tearing down some ugly wallpaper you've grown accustomed to only to put up slightly less ugly wallpaper in its place. Like, why even do this? If anything, I'd prefer if each game kept its original look and all the updates went into improving the gameplay, which feels definitively outdated. Adding a weapon and radio station wheel to each game is a nice touch. I'll admit that. Adding GPS to the map is also a nice touch. I wish I could keep going, but I can't. The original GTA games were hard, and that's fine. Hard games exist because gamers like a challenge. Look at Dark Souls. But there's a difference between a game being hard by design and bad design making a game hard. Allow me to explain. In the original games, if you failed a mission, you would need to drive back to the start of said mission to restart it. That sucked way back when. Now, in GTA Trilogy, you can restart right from the beginning of that mission. That's a good thing, right? Yes, but it's half-assed. After beginning a mission, you still need to drive to the location where the mission really takes place. This can take, let's say, 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes of driving you'll be repeating if you fail. Fail 5 times, and that's 10 minutes spent driving back. See where I'm going with this? While San Andreas does have some better checkpoints more akin to GTA 5, it's still not fully modernized, and that's just one mission. If you have 3 missions that take a similar amount of time, that's 30 minutes of your life the game just wasted. We put up with it back in the day, but gamers nowadays are accustomed to and deserve better. It's one thing to preserve a look that's similar to the original games, but it's another to maintain archaic design. And this is true from the lack of checkpoints to the gunplay. For this to be definitive, the gameplay needed to be enhanced. This is the bare minimum. I can't say Rockstar pulled a bait and switch because they never showed us the gameplay to begin with. But they definitely baited a lot of people. Sorry, but this is hardly Rockstar material. If Red Dead Redemption 2 was Metallica headlining a massive festival, GTA Trilogy is a mediocre cover band opening at an elementary school dance. There must be a reason why Rockstar didn't show any gameplay ahead of time. There must be a reason why Rockstar didn't send review codes to media. There must be a reason why you can't buy the games individually. Could it be because Rockstar knew they were releasing a mediocre product? To sell this collection for $60 is just gross. And to make matters worse, you can't even buy the original games anymore, which had mods that created a more enhanced experience. For a company that prides itself on releasing the highest quality experiences, GTA Trilogy, the definitive edition, is an overpriced, archaic mess that should not be tolerated. And that's it for today, guys. If you liked the video, then hit that like button and share the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.